So this sefer, which was just translated in English, is a compilation of all the Frierdiker Rebbe's talks in Chicago. And let's go right to it. This is Maimer, page 40 in the sefer. I'm gonna I'm gonna translate it my way, and welcome to follow from the top and the bottom. Let's go. 40. Trust in Hashem and do good. Dwell in the land and be nourished by your faith. Pasuk until trust in Hashem, do good, dwell in the land, and be nourished by your faith. Yonatan, we're learning Bikur Chicago. The sefer just translated this one, page 40. The pasuk mentions 4 things. Habitachim b'Hashem, you should trust in God. Asiyas teiv, you should do good. Chaim shemanucha v'arpanas amun, live with tranquility and earn your livelihood with honesty. 2 of them are an instruction for us what to do, and 2 of them are a promise. The first half of the verse says, trust in God and do good. That's instruction for us. The second half of the verse is saying that if you do that, if you trust in God and you do good, then you'll be promised, you'll be assured of a life of tranquility, and that you will be supported. Yisparnis, how they translate it over here. What's Yisparnis? And he'll be nourished by his faith. Nourished by his faith. So if he'll trust in Hashem and he'll do good, he'll be nourished by his faith. That's the pasuk. So the second of the pasuk is a promise. So it's not saying that you should do business honestly. It's saying you will be nourished by your faith. Rashi explains what does it mean to trust in Hashem. Don't say, I won't rob and I won't steal. Halacha rob and Gneva means to steal without anybody knowing. And Gezela is like armed robbery. So a person might say, if I don't steal, or if I'll give to tzedakah, how will I get parnas? So that's the first part of the pasuk saying, trust in Hashem. Don't think that breaking the rules is the only way to make it. V'asei toiv, and do good. And Rashi says, do good. What does it mean, do good? By trusting in Hashem and not stealing and doing what Hashem wants you to do, so you will dwell in the land for many years and be nourished by your faith. You'll be eaten, you'll supported by the reward of your faith in Hashem. Because you relied on Hashem, you did good, so everything will be good. Sounds good, no? That means by trusting in Hashem, relying on Hashem, and doing good, not only will your parnasa be kosher, and you'll be able to give tzedakah, but more, you'll have a life of tranquility. Trusting in Hashem and doing good things, not only will that guarantee your parnasa to be kosher and honest and be able to give tzedakah, but you'll have a tranquil life. Closed out the 4 general categories in this pasuk can be divided into 2 general categories, and they are emunah and bitach. Dwell in the land, be nourished by your faith. That is in the category of emunah. Trust in Hashem and do good. That's the category of bitach. Tam hadavar sheikum hazar bitachon kein emuna. Why does the pasuk preface bitachon, trust in Hashem, before faith in Hashem? Kosev Ramban, so Ramban explains, she'eim and amuchach liyeskol aman b'tech. It's not a, it's not, not everyone who believes in Hashem trusts in Hashem. I'll call it b'tech man b'lisach. But anyone who trusts in Hashem believes in Hashem. That's why the Torah always tells us more about bitachon than emun. What's the difference in emun and bitachon? How come he says if you have bitachon, you for sure have emunah? If you have emunah, you don't necessarily have bitachon. Emunah is by al yidin bisgalus and ebed filmen amol is the emunah behelem is durch haseres kalav eretzin seira berkan aveda of them barton in the tavim. We're here and over there in the annex. Hey, fellow Jew, Chaim. There's an analogy. If you have the fruit, you for sure have the tree. You have the tree, you don't necessarily have the fruit. Emunah is the general perspective you have in life. Belief in Eibishter. Bitachon means they actually apply it and you actually live with it. And not just you have this perspective in life, but you, in the famous analogy of this guy who was trying to test the faith of the crowd in him as he walks over the tightrope. He says, who thinks I can walk over the tightrope? Yeah, you could do it. He walks over the tightrope, then he brings out a unicycle. Who thinks I can make it across the unicycle? Yeah, you could do it. And he takes out a wheelbarrow. Yeah, go for it. He wants to go inside the wheelbarrow. Everybody's like, okay, not necessarily. So that's different thing with bitachon and emun. Emunah means that's your paradigm. That's what you believe in. That's your faith in Hashem. That's how you work. Bitachon means not just that's how you work, but you actually live that. You apply it. You have the fruit. If you have the fruit, for sure there's a tree. If you have the tree, not necessarily there's the fruit. So what's emunah? Emunah says that every Jew has this in a very visgalus. Visgalus means it's revealed. It's very conscious. It's very you. And even if this emunah isn't so conscious, but with a little bit of inspiration, it comes out. You don't have to have any avodah, any special effort to believe, because we're believers, children of believers. We're Jewish. We have emunah. We have this belief in Hashem. But for bitachon, to trust in Hashem, that requires actual aveda. That shouldn't just be in lip service bitachon, but actually practically to have bitachon. Have bitachon, to say you have bitachon. Actually have bitachon, that requires effort. In general, the Friedrich Rebbe and Rabbeinu Shlomo means the Alter Rebbe. Yeah. The Rebbe says Rabbeinu Shlomo, he refers to Rasha. When the Friedrich says Rabbeinu Shlomo, he refers to Alter. There's also in the Rebbe's notes, he always says about when it's a Tzedek said the Rebbeinu Shlomo, different Rebbeim use that expression for Rebbeim. I have no idea what that means. Next page, the Alter Rebbe explains the words nourish your faith. Alter Rebbe says you have to nourish your emunah. You have to nourish your emunah so that it should increase and should spread and should be strong. That's what the pasuk means. Do stuff to feed that part of yourself. Imagine in your brain you have two dogs. You have a white dog and a black dog. Whatever dog you feed is going to be the one that's the one that's you. That's one that governs your thoughts. So the more you feed your emunah, the bigger that emunah thing in your head is going to be you. But how do you feed it? How do you feed the emunah? And why does the emunah need to be fed? Emunah is one of the soul powers that is vested in the limbs of the body, in the depth of the heart and mind. That's really fascinating to me because I always thought emunah is like a transcendent power. It's like something which is deep in your neshama. There's no, that's something which is in your body. Emunah is something which is in your body, deep in your heart and mind. Neshama is in your body, and the neshama, one of the powers of neshama, I think of powers in Hashem, I think of like love of Hashem, reverence of Hashem. Emunah in Hashem is a power of Neshama, not just a core of the Neshama. It's a power of the Neshama. The powers in Neshama are associated with different limbs of the body. Power of intelligence is in the brain, power of love is in the heart. It is Emunah is in your body. This relationship between the soul powers and the limbs of the body is beyond human understanding. Just like human cannot understand exactly how the soul animates the limbs of the body. It's only one of the wonders of the Hashem, who is complete knowledge, who is able to do this wondrous thing, connecting the soul, which is spiritual, and the body, which is physical. Next page. Despite the fact that it's a total wonder, but after Hashem has already decided that the soul should become in the body, once Hashem decided this already, so now in order to keep the soul in the body, to strengthen the connection of the soul in the body, you have to eat and you have to drink. When you eat and drink and the food is digested, so then this accomplishes that the spiritual energy of the soul connects in a greater way with your limbs of your body. You think better, you feel better, you do better. It's all connected to what you eat. And through eating, you draw down actually a deeper energy from the soul, which is spiritual, to come into your physical limbs. As we see clearly, this is not just that you're able to function better, you're able to move around, you're able to exercise if you eat, whatever, you're able to use this power of your body, but also the inner powers of the soul. We can explain in a second what he means, but we know ourselves. You eat, you're able to think, you're able to feel better. We see clearly that when a person does not eat and drink for a long time, so his spiritual energy gets weaker. Spiritual energy, his intellect, his feelings are weaker, and they don't accomplish what they need to. And by eating and drinking, that makes his strength greater. I should put the coffee down. Sorry, coffee's there. I didn't bring it down. Okay. The more that your food is from, I'm so upset that Dr. Bresson was doing this line with me. Anyways, the more that your food is from healthy things, and the more that's orderly, this will strengthen your soul powers more. I mean, to think more like your neshama thinks and feel how your neshama feels, the more healthy your diet is. That means the fusion of the soul of the body through food and drink causes there to be a deeper energy from the depth of the soul. This strength that happens by eating and drinking is in every single soul power in every limb, even the most lofty limbs. For example, your brain, which is able to think, and not only your brain, your ability to make new ideas. Not just your power to think, it's your power to be creative. That is a very lofty power of the soul. That lofty power of the soul is affected by the food that you eat. The image is, although you're eating physical food, but it affects the most loftiest things. You're trying to understand the Perkantanya, trying to get a Rashi, but what you eat affects your not just your energy in your body, it affects the way you think and feel. I think I told you stories. I was once in a Yitzchak show, I was davening, and I was very upset about the terrible gullus that we're in. So upset about gullus. I'm like, why Hashem? Why? Then they have two shuls next to each other. and the other shul had air conditioning. Went to that shul, all of a sudden, maybe we should know I can handle it. We're very affected by physical things. So we eat food, it affects the way you think, the way you feel. So this is all a parable to explain to us how we have to feed our faith. So too, in regards to feeding our emunah, we have to strengthen our emunah in every way we can. As the Alter Rebbe says, to multiply and to cause the faith to spread. So, I think you should go for the coffee now. That's what we're learning about. Want to bring it down? Okay, thank you. And any questions while we pause for a coffee break? Dr. Bressman, don't use this against me, okay?
No, just the contrary. In fact, this conference, which comes out of, I think, Chicago, they started it off by quoting Leviticus 14, which of course is the chapter about Sarius. And even though it's a Goyish concept, they're very,
Right.
very aware of this concept of contamination and eating lofty things. I mean, doing lofty things and eating from nature's bounty. I mean, that's the way to restore your life. There's no question about it.
This conference you're going to is in Chicago? It's based in Chicago?
Yeah.
Wow. So it's very, very in sync with what we're learning. This is from the pre.
Exactly.
Wow.
And this is all over the world. They have people from Vietnam and India, and it's a worldwide conference.
Wow, this reminds me of my visit to your house. Went to go fix my spirituality by fixing my tefillin, and then I said, why don't I go downstairs, not just to Raya Breslin, but to Dr. Breslin and work on my physical. So here you go. You went to Chicago for Ruchnis, going to Chicago for Ashley. He's going to medical conference in Chicago now, Dr. Breslin. So is that crazy? Virtually.
Yeah.
Okay. Same applies to spiritual service. No, not for me, just for you. So just like we're talking about the physical body is nourished by food. So to regards to our neshama, there's something we could do to feed our faith in Hashem. We have to nourish and sustain our emunah on page 46, just to every way we can. Of course, as the Alter says, we have to increase it, we have to expand it. Two different things, increasing and expand. How do you nourish your faith, and what does it mean to increase and to expand? Behind it. The power of emunah has to spread in all your soul powers and has to be in an abundant manner. What does that mean? Pashtus, what it means is, in a simple level, I mean, it's possible to be, let's say, the opposite extreme of the thief who asks Hashem to help him, that he believes in Hashem for some things, not for other things. So emunah spreading means that literally every part of your life you look at it from the perspective of your emunah, which is the way it's supposed to be, and that's beribui strong. It reminds me of the previous Rebbe once was talking to Rebbe Avram Parish, I think it was, and the Ram Parish and he had the audience of the previous Rebbe, and he says the previous Rebbe something like, it was a very challenging time, and the Frierdiker Rebbe was asking about something which was very difficult, and he said, your words, Rebbe, will be fulfilled. So Frierdiker Rebbe responded, mine avart, I wish I could quote exactly, but I remember, my words will never go empty-handed, not in this world, not in the next world. And you have to say it not with a rough, but with a dogish. You shouldn't say this just with a week, like, oh, the Rebbe's words, the Rebbe's words will be fulfilled. With a dogish, like, this is happening, my friends. I don't know if you heard the story I shared last night from this man who passed away, a real tzaddik, the real tzaddik, or real tzaddik. He was yeah. I'm sorry, Ariel Tzaddik.
Challenge. I think you're right. It's kind of raging.
Yes.
Because he was sad. He's such a sad. But everyone is sad.
This guy who passed away in Miron, the Slavavitcher, he wrote a story down. We shared a story. It's printed about how this Italian or this Jewish man who wasn't religious at all asked him if he knows the Rebbe. Do you really know the Rebbe? And he had a whole story with himself, a miracle the Rebbe did that made him. You see him and you hear him, but you actually know him. And that's the meaning of your emunah spreading. And it means it covers every facet of your life. And the riboy strength means that it's not with a rough, it's not with a weak voice, but this is it's pronounced, it's lebedik. This is really the way it is. This in the same story, this guy who the Rebbe promised him that his son will come back home. He felt like this was real. This was not just that. Yeah, tzaddik blessed him, and maybe something will happen. He felt the reality. That's a riboy. There's a power there. So how do you get there? How do you cause your emunah to spread? How do you cause your emunah to be strong, to be abundant? The way to strengthen your emunah is by making an effort in your Torah study, in your mitzvahs, with the effort of soul and effort of flesh. What's the difference between effort of soul and effort of flesh? In other places in Chassidus, in Tanya, the Alter uses this expression, and he says, Gias Nefesh means to meditate on a godly concept for a long time. Gias Basar, effort of flesh, he says, means to have thoughts of tshuva. Gias Nefesh, Gias Basar, thoughts of to work hard to understand the Chassidus and to meditate for a long time and to have thoughts of tshuva. That's what strengthens your emunah. Making an effort in terms of paskola, bavana, biskasha, b'sogukis, to really try to understand the godly concept. When you understand Chassidus, when you understand the truth of Hashem, and it's in your haskola avan vasaga, it means it's a way it's very deep in your mind. It's the way you think, it's the way you understand, it's the way you connect. So then your mitzvahs are done a different way. Just like physically, when a person eats or drinks, that causes his soul to be connected with his body. So your actual consumption of the food, you're using both your body and your spiritual faculties at the same time while you're eating. Hashem made the world in a way that eating and drinking affects both your physical faculties and your spiritual faculties. So just like when you eat, eating affects all parts of you, your spirituality and your physical parts of you, your body. So too, in order to feed your emunah, you have to have both an effort of soul and effort of flesh. In addition to actually doing mitzvahs practically and doing them with love and reverence for Hashem, it's also you also have to make a great effort in your soul to actually explain to yourself, to actually think the truth of the godly concept that you're trying to understand. Until you actually feel this godly concept and actually causes you to be stronger in terms. So it's not sufficient to actually do terms, just like when you eat food. It doesn't just touch your body, it touches your soul. So too, in regards to feeding emunah to your neshama, it's not enough just to do Torah mitzvahs to feed the emunah. You also have to think about Chassidus in a way that makes sense to you, and to not just have reverence for Hashem while you're doing the mitzvah and love for Hashem while you're doing the mitzvah, but actually to think over a Vart Chassidus until it makes sense to you, and until you actually feel that this is making your mitzvah stronger. You actually feel different about what you're doing. So that's the meaning of feeding our emunah, to think over, to work, make an effort to think over Vart Chassidus until it actually becomes something that's tangible and palpable, that makes us do mitzvahs with a different kind of energy. To feed ourselves emunah. Okay, that's the end of chapter 1. Any questions or comments? What do we do today? Short, we just said is the pasuk says, "Trust in Hashem and do good, live in the land, and be nourished by your faith." We said that the first part of the pasuk talks about emunah, second part of the pasuk talks about bitachon. In general, the first 2 parts of the pasuk are what we're supposed to do. And the second part of the pasuk is a promise from Hashem. And we said that the Ramban says if you have bitachon, you for sure have emunah. If you have emunah, you don't necessarily have bitachon. And bitachon is where the Torah always says that we should work for. Bitachon is what we're meant to aim for. And emunah is something we have naturally. Emunah doesn't require any effort, even though if we don't feel our emunah, we have emunah. But bitachon requires effort, requires avoid. Now we discussed the Alter Rebbe's words to nourish your faith. Well, he said that just like to nourish your body, you eat food to nourish your body, so to nourish your faith, you have to work. And just when you eat food, it helps your physical elements of your body, and your food also helps your spiritual side, your intellect, and your feelings. So too, when you talk about nourishing faith, it's not sufficient just to do mitzvahs physically. You also have to think over Chassidus until it makes sense to you. Actually, think differently till you actually feel your mitzvahs are different because of what you think. Work on the intelligence. Anyways, Chazak Baruch. Any questions? Chaim Roch, Dr. Bress, Chaim Yonatan. Have a great day. Zvach.